Hey there, everybody. Welcome back with the Plat. Purplatypus is the name, and welcome to my very first of many Eiyuden Chronicles videos. So, I am about 20 hours into the game, and I'm going to give you my initial impressions. Let's take a look if I can find my save data here. It's going to show you about 25 hours, but 26 hours, but maybe I'm closer to 21. I left it on when I went out for a while, and I came back, and so it's not 100% accurate there, but about 21 hours, I would say. So, what do I think about the game so far? First, I think this is going to be considered an ad. I don't know. I got a review code, so I don't know if that's considered sponsored. I haven't gotten enough review codes to like know what I'm supposed to say. So just, I got this game for free. Assume that that will distort my views. I promise it won't, but just know that I spent no money and I'm playing this game. All right, that's important for you to know. But let's jump into it. What do I think about the game after 20-ish hours? I'm going to go the good, the bad, and the mid. But we're going to go the mid, the good, and the bad. So things, I kind of just want to get the things that are just like whatever out of the way, because I think this game has a lot of super good things going for it, and definitely some things that I hope they address, I hope they improve, that I don't particularly like. But it's mostly nitpicky stuff, I guess I would say. But I think it's relevant. But let's go to the mid. So, very first, the story, the art style, the music. For me, I'm putting these all under mid. And that's not because they're not bad, but the music is probably good. I'm not that much into music in video games, right? So some people are going to love it. Some people are not going to like it that much. For me, I haven't really paid attention to it that much. It hasn't like really grabbed me in a way that I'm like, whoa. But I mean, I've not felt offended or anything also. It seems pretty mid to me. The story is so far, like, this is not a review from the end of the game. Right now, up to this point, it's pretty generic. It's a little kind of, pacing wise, is a little weird. You definitely feel like the hero. Everyone treats you like the hero, like the cool guy, kind of, even though you haven't really earned it. There's just like a little, I don't love the pacing of it, but I mean, it's still just like good guy building a resistance, trying to fight the bad guys who are betraying you, right? Like, it's pretty straightforward in that regard. Maybe there's going to be some more diverse turns, but right now it's relatively generic. But that doesn't make it bad. It just means like it's there. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time watching these characters interact and see what decisions they're making. The art style, again, for me, is going to be kind of mid. I mean, here's the thing. It looks good, right? But there's so many games that I think look good that I don't think it like stands out as being like great. It just like, if you play like Octopath Traveler 2, I think the Octopath Traveler 2s of the world are more like incredible, more like, whoa. Like, there's just so much big moments, and this has a similar style in a lot of ways, but I don't think it quite gets to that level, if that makes sense. But it definitely looks good. It's more than serviceable. I would say I enjoy this visual style in general. So other than that, things that I think are a bit mid is, one of the things here is this review, or whatever you want to call it, this is going to be coming from the difficulty on the hardest difficulty setting, right? Difficulty hard or normal, but there's all these extra restrictions that are also on, and these are rough. So talking about the difficulty, I'm going to put difficulty mid. For me, I personally consider the difficulty a positive, but a lot of people will probably consider it a negative if you're playing on this mode, because it is incredibly difficult, I would say. Like, actually, I don't think I beat a boss on the first try yet at all. In one boss, like, I got stuck on for like 2 hours, and you can't really grind in this game and get past it. So the difficulty is super hard, and it's not just the combat, it's how all these restrictions work together. If you turn these on, you're getting no money after battle. You're not healing. You can't heal HP with items in battle. So the only way to heal in battle is by using MP, right? But the way you recover MP is by either using items, which cost money, or by resting at an inn, which cost money. But you're not getting money, right? So recovering MP is very expensive. Save points don't recover MP. So you get one free inn at your town, but you don't always have access to the town. So combined with MP being the only way to heal in battle, with the double MP consumption, and you can't escape from battles, so you're forced to do every single encounter, even if it's not that hard, it's a huge drain on your resources. Keeping yourself healed is difficult. And when you go with the boss fights, like, it's possible you might only have enough MP for one spell per character. Not even every character can use spells in the early game. So, like, it just, the hyperinflation means your money, like, I haven't bought armor once, right? All my characters are using, like, you know, every time you go to a town, you can buy a better armor. I'm using armor from, like, the second town out of, like, 8 towns or something, right? Like, I'm using what I find out of chests because I just can't fucking afford it, you know? I'm finally getting to a point in the mid-game where my castle town is generating money, so I don't need money from these early fights. Like, and now I went back to the town, I suddenly got 12,000. I'm like, this is the most money I've had the entire game. This is awesome. So this is starting to be addressed as you get later into the game, but in the early game, this is brutal. Especially when I spent all my money on an item that I couldn't even use in battle because it says no HP recovery, but this means no items at all. You can't heal your MP, you can't heal your HP. Maybe it's a bug, I don't know. You can't use combat items, you can't use status ailments healing items. You can't use items in battle in the current state. So it's very difficult. And there's like a soft experience cap in the game as well. So if you get to, like, the enemies don't drop a stagnant amount of experience. The enemies have, I don't know how the system works, but it seems like enemies have a level associated with them. Like, this is a level 20 enemy. The amount of experience it gives to each character is dependent on that character's level. So, for example, if I have a character that's level 30 and they're fighting an enemy, they might get 20 experience from that fight. But if I had a level 17 character in that party, they're going to get, like, 6,000 experience and go from, like, level 17 to 23 immediately in one fight. But the inverse of that is if you're going up against a boss and the enemies in that, you can't go further, right? Because this is the highest level area you can go. The enemies might only drop you 10, 20 experience. So you might have to do 30 fights, 40 fights to get one level. So you can't really grind that well, especially with, like I said, grinding is not easy, because your HP and your MP are getting drained because you're still taking some damage. And so, like, all these things kind of add up, and it makes a very difficult experience. I personally love it. However, this is something that I think people should be aware of when they jump into the game. Is it could be punishingly difficult at some points if you're not really playing the game like an RPG, and you can't turn these off. I don't think. I don't want to. You can't turn these off. So once you start a game and they're on, they're on. And I'm going to jump. We're going to finish the mid, but I want to jump into one thing about the bad here. Sorry for the lack of structure, I suppose. But it is possible, and I think you should be worried in a sense. In the early game, you can get soft locked and not be able to progress your game if you're not willing to be patient. So you get to a point called the Proving Grounds. If we take a look at the world map here, the Proving Grounds. Where's it at? It's gonna be right after you get to the Great Wood. You're gonna go to the Tree Folk Village, go to the Proving Grounds. When you have to go here for the main story, they won't let you leave until you'll try to leave this town. They're like, hey, Noah, get back here. Let's go do this thing. The issue with that is that there's no free in there, so you have to spend money. So I went in here with low amounts of money. My inventory was full because I was planning to see what was going on here. I wanted to check out the new town, and then I was going to go back to my castle and drop off all my items and fully heal and, you know, maybe sell some stuff or whatever. But I came in here with almost no money. I came in here with relatively, like, low HP MP pools. I came in here with, like, basically I wasn't super well equipped. Like, there is a town, but, like, I had to go through and sell items I didn't want to sell just to get enough money to rest. And if you tried to, like, and the bosses at the end here are tough. You can't get progress without defeating the bosses. So there is a theoretical soft lock situation where you're out of money, your characters are all basically dead, and you can't do that much. Especially because when you rest at an inn, it doesn't heal your reserve characters, just the characters in the active party. So, like, this is something I do think could turn away players if they're not used to RPGs that are difficult and they're not overplaying the game in a sense, like they're not trying to get as powerful as fast as they can. The game pushes back very well in the early game. I would say it may be too difficult for the average player, but I've had a great time. In the release notes, they say that they are going to patch the difficulty. They don't say up or down, so I don't know. And some of the progression systems. So, with that out of the way, another thing that I feel is a little mid is the game does have a bit of an indie feel to it. And I mean, I know it made a lot of money and there's a lot of development time into it, and overall the presentation is fantastic, but there's just like a little bit, like if I hit pause, for example, like this menu is just kind of like, it's a really weird menu, I guess. Like when you hit pause, it goes into this like little like back to title, difficulty, settings, load. It just, I don't know, is to me that just kind of comes off weird. A lot of like towns will have areas where you could clearly walk into, but this might not be a good example, but there'll be a lot of areas where it's like, oh, I could fit there, but it's like if you go inside a house, like you just can't go, you can't really go anywhere, right? Like there'll be houses with like clear upstairs and clear like areas you can walk into, but they're all just like blocked off, right? You're kind of restricted to this tiny area. So there is a lot of that kind of indie feel throughout the game, and even in some of the animations, the kind of it's like it just didn't make, like I had this one attack I did where you like this character's gonna knock him into orbit, but it's like they go from like here to like the next frame, no frame in between is a picture of them like looking at the sky, and they're like it's just a dot or whatever, you know. It's like a weird kind of like that animation should have like several more, like an extra second of like frames going in, you know, kind of showing how this thing works, if that makes sense. So there is a little bit of that. I don't honestly think it's that big of a deal either. It's just something I want to point out for people that are basically so they're aware of it. But let's jump into the things that I really like, and then we'll jump into the things again that I think are kind of bad. So when things that I like, this is going to be perfect. Let's go to the end. There are a ton of characters, right? Obviously over 100. Now, it's not 100 characters that you use in combat. They're going to be from support characters to combat characters to your librarian, right? This is not all the characters, not even close. Not even half, to be fair, but like there's also a lot of characters you get that you're not going to see that much. They're just going to run facilities in your town. But most characters are going to be combat characters. And so there's tons of characters. And what's super important is that these characters are very, very cool looking in their design. They really knocked it out of the park with the designs here. Let's go take a look at it. Just a couple that I have in my party, right? Like they all look very different and unique, and they stand out, and they've got great vibes. They have their personalities. I still don't think they're gonna, there's a little bit of an issue with this where it's like they all are kind of like the Sasquatch from Final Fantasy VI, the snowman guy, right? And it's, when I say that, I mean there is an element of like there's too many characters in the sense where all the other characters aren't going to acknowledge most of the time that most of the other characters are there. These characters that have relationships will frequently acknowledge the other one when they are in a party together. But like Euthys is never going to know that Wyler is in the party, and they're never going to really communicate in a way that's meaningful because there's just too many combinations of characters, right? So there is an element of you need to, like, they're all kind of like on their own little islands in a sense. So, but look at these designs. I mean, they're fucking cool. And these are kind of some of the more generic ones too. I mean, not that they're bad, but like, let's just go to let's form a party here. Let's take a look at, like, we got a cool werewolf guy. I'm not going to pull them all up each individual, but we got a guy that's just a tree. This guy is like a mage, but he does like physical things. Like he cares about like his body and physical thing, more practical magic instead of just creating fireballs. There's dwarfs, there's cool samurais, there's a cat that holds a mask over his head. This is a little girl, but she has a giant fucking monster as like a pet, and they fight. And so they all look good. The personalities are fun, and I am very excited every time I see a new character to know what are they going to do, how are they going to be, like, what are they going to do in combat? What are their personalities like? What are there going to be their interactions with other characters? I love that. Absolutely love it, love it, love it. The castle. The castle is a 10 out of 10 mechanic. 10 out of 10. This is the perfect shit for me. So I'm going to go to Avalon, which is what I named my castle. It was like one of 3 options or whatever, but I would have named it Perps Shag and Wagon or something. So let's take a look here. Let's go into the castle, and I'm just gonna go straight to, let's go to the main entrance. Oh, we're in the main entrance. All right, castle floor 1 then. How about that? Cash me outside. So there's like a whole mini game kind of involved with this. And not a mini game as much, but it's not just recruit character, castle gets bigger. After you collect a certain amount of characters, things change. And there's like a whole building thing, right? So there's a skill tree almost. So, and as you get resources and you recruit people, like, all right, so I want to build a restaurant in my thing. That's what I really want to do. I need to make sure I get the money, which I have. I need to make sure I have enough of the food resource, which I now have. And now I need to recruit a specific character to actually run the restaurant. So I have to recruit this guy. I found him. I don't know how to recruit him yet, but the idea is once I recruit him, I can come back here, build him a restaurant, and then I get a restaurant in my town, and then that'll renovate the thing. So you can see here, there's like this whole fucking incredibly fun tree, and they will show you actually what's super important. So this will show me, as you can see here on this character, it shows that that's not checked, but I've seen this character. So if you haven't seen the character before, you'll know immediately. Like, I've never met this character. I don't know who it is, where they are. But like, for example, I've met the guy that teaches you how to fish, that gives you a fishing pole. And so now if I find him again, or I recruit him, or I go back to where he was, I can recruit him, and now I can have a fishing spot in my town. And it's kind of like a skill tree, which is fun because I need to recruit him before I could ever get the guild missions, right? Or before I could get the racing stables. I can't do any of this stuff because you need to get the prerequisite first. So it's kind of like a natural progression system as you're going through the game, but it also means you're not going to skip a character because, like, I'm just going to go for this guy and do this guy's thing. Like, in this case, you can't. They really want you to get these characters, obviously. So this is a 10 out of a 10. I've had so much fun. And also, if you're playing on the super hard difficulty, do as much of this as early as you can every single time, because the money that you make from this is so important. Like, I was at 17,000. What am I at now? I'm still at 17,000. I don't know. But like, if you get a bunch of, if you're just playing the game every time you come back here, I don't know if it's game time, I don't know if it's combat, you're just going to get a bunch of money, and the money is super, super important. So it's fun. And I'm telling you, there's nothing beats every time you make an upgrade and you go look at the upgrade, and it's just like, you get to see your town getting better, literal, like, little square by little square. Like, the newest thing I just built was the library, and I know where it's at. All right, I remember where my library's at. I think it's up here. I think this is the library. I could be fucking way off. I can't even walk into that door. All right, you caught me. I don't know where the library's at, but the idea is, like, every time you recruit someone, you get a thing. It's so fun. Then you get to see your person walking around the town. Here we go. Here's the library, right? This was just an empty room up to 20 minutes ago. And now I built the library. I recruited a library person. This is my favorite thing. My favorite thing. It's a tried and true mechanic, and they've done it better than they've ever done it in the past in any Suikoden game, in my opinion. So actually getting into the gameplay itself. The moment-to-moment gameplay combat is very good, and I greatly enjoy it. The characters have a lot of diversity in what they do. They all fulfill their roles. There's kind of archetypes in a sense, so they could be a little samey. Like, a guy that sits on the front row and is tanky could be kind of like another guy that sits on the front row is tanky. But they all have, at least, almost all characters will have some sort of unique rune. You know, basically, they'll hit a certain level, they'll unlock a unique thing. This guy's unique thing is that it allows him to withstand any attack with at least 1 HP one time, right? Once per battle, I assume. So, I mean, that's very powerful, right? In the front line, it's hard to, he can't get one shot, basically. And he's even good at, he's just really good at staying alive, all right? And different characters sometimes will have attacks. This guy has one that helps him cover allies, so he'll guard for other people more frequently. And so the characters are very diverse in a lot of ways, and it's just kind of fun just in general. Like, the combat itself is, like, maybe we can go into a fight, give you kind of an example of what it is. Let's go ahead and teleport to over here. Get into a fight. Now, the combat is a little loosey-goosey. I've described this in games like Yakuza, but I've just coming off Unicorn Overlord, and Unicorn Overlord, you know, is the tightest RPG I've played in a lot of ways. So when I say the tightest, I mean, you know exactly, I'm not talking about Tidus, or all right, from Final Fantasy X, get on, all right? But what I mean is, like, you know exactly what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, how the damage formulas work. Everything is super, super upfront and obvious. Your character has an attack stat. You can look at the enemy's defensive stat. You can see what the enemy's going to do. You can see what your characters are going to do. You can see what your attack's potency is and the effects of that attack and what it will do. This game doesn't have all that information up front like that, right? And it's not as loosey-goosey as like Yakuza, but it's approaching that level where it's a little more. Here's an example of a mechanic, right? Characters that are one hit from dead, or they're going to die in an attack, a different character can jump in front of them to take the hit. So this is very weird and kind of random. I like the mechanic, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes no character will jump in front of them. They'll only jump in front of them if they will not die from taking that hit. But it also isn't guaranteed to happen. What is the percentage? I don't know. What is this guy's rune to increase it? What does it take it from to? I don't know. There's items that will increase your chance of being guarded if you're gonna die. You're instead someone's gonna jump in front of you. So it's kind of like a mechanic that doesn't always work, and you don't know exactly when it's gonna go and when it's not. That already is like a little bit there, but another thing beyond that is sometimes your mage in the back row will jump in front of your frontline character to take a hit. And yes, they may have saved them from dying, but maybe my mage had a heal spell or a revival spell, or so now they go from max HP to being one shot from dead, because yes, they're going to survive the hit, but my guy's 156 HP. He just got hit for 147. So yes, he survived, but now he's going to get one shot by literally anything. And he's my primary healer. That kind of stuff can happen. And so it's a little, again, loosey-goosey. It's hard to predict when it'll happen, and it usually doesn't screw you over, but there definitely is an element of RNG involved with the combat, so you're not exactly doing the perfect thing every time. Another example here is the SP, right? So you have MP and you have SP. Magic points, mana points, whatever. That is going to be how you cast magic. If you have magic runes equipped. This character has no magic runes equipped, so let's just have him just attack here for a second. I don't know if I have one with both. Oh, this guy actually has magic runes equipped. Here we go. So you could basically use your turn to spend mana to do whatever your magic runes equipped do. All right. But then there's SP. SP is you generate it every single turn. You generate one a turn. It doesn't seem to ever be any more or less. But you generate an SP every single turn. And then once you have enough SP, you could do these attacks. They do not take mana, but they are basically spells that are time gated. Essentially, you can't do them every turn, but they are going to be much more powerful than your normal attacks, and they're resource free in terms of in between battles, right? Like, you can't save your SP between battles, and this is why I'm bringing it up, why it's a little loosey goosey, is the amount of SP you start combat with seems to be random. I don't understand how to. Characters don't all start with 0. They don't all start with 1. They don't all start with 2. It'll like roll a value for each character. Like, I've had characters start with 4, or never 5, but I've had characters start with 4 SP. I've had characters start with 0. And if I've retried a fight, I've had characters start with different SP values after losing to a boss fight and I hit retry. Like, sometimes they'll have different SP values than what they had on the first try, which can affect the turn order. So it's kind of like weird. I don't know why the SP is like that. I don't personally like that, but it's still like, overall, the combat works together very good. There's a little bit of RNG involved in it, which is kind of interesting. But overall, let's just kind of go through it. What are your options? What you could do? It just works well. Having 6 characters is incredibly fun. There is an auto battle system, which is great for grinding. However, earlier on, and also just in the higher difficulties, you want to make sure you're turning off your MP, because characters will just throw their MP away, and that shit is valuable. You don't want to just throw it away on random attacks that are like 20% stronger than your auto attack. For bosses, that's a different story. But make sure you're turning off your MP. And this won't always do good for targeting. You could set it up. There's a menu for it. It's not like, again, after coming out of Unicorn Overlord, where the whole thing is essentially auto battle, like, this is not the same gambit system. It's not as in-depth or as good, but it is very functional, and it'll help you grind if you're looking to do that. So characters can just they have different defensive actions too. Some will be able to defend. So this character could defend and raise his attack. Fucking super strong. Some characters can increase their dodge, things like that. But basically, it's what you would expect. The combats are going to start. A lot of your combats, you're going to be doing regular normal attacks. And these normal combats aren't that hard. Once you learn to prioritize characters how you should, it becomes pretty darn easy to defeat these encounters. What makes the combat system extra good is that the boss battles, they put a lot of thought into these. There's just a lot of effort put into it. They will frequently have gimmicks, and I don't say that as a derogatory term. That's the term they use. They call them gimmicks. Did you not open the treasure chest? This auto. I don't care about the treasure chest. But there is they'll have gimmicks. And the gimmicks are not super simple or even samey. They could be very, very diverse and just interesting things. And when I say gimmicks, there's like literal things like this guy's gonna drop a boulder on you. Move them over here instead, right? That, like, so you could hit the switch and the boulder will drop on them. That's kind of gimmicky. But even beyond that, how you have to tackle a boss fight is a bit of a puzzle, which is very, very fun. Like, I've done a boss fight where it's like, all right, I target this character, but when this character dies first, suddenly the other character gets really strong and they start killing everybody. There's a fight where you're fighting two things, like a robot and like an angel. If you can kill the robot, but they tell you kind of in the cutscene, the angel comes down and touches the robot, brings it to life. You can kill the robot and then kill the angel, but if you kill the angel, the robot is instantly going to die because she's what's bringing it alive. But if you try to instantly kill the angel, she's going to bring more help to the fight and start doing a lot more damage early on. So there's like this whole combat mechanic with the bosses that is very good. And so even though the normal random encounters are relatively simple, they're still satisfying. They're pretty snappy, surprisingly, for 6 characters. If you have multiple actions lined up, like a melee and a range, if you have like a melee character getting ready to attack and a range character getting ready to attack, they'll just kind of all go bop, 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 bop. Things will kind of do almost a swarm style to keep it snappy, which is good. And the normal fights are snappy. You get some pretty good experience when you go into a new zone. And then the boss fights are very good. I've been loving the boss fights. Very difficult, a lot of them. That is hit really hard. And some, I didn't like one boss fight that much, but it's all right. For the most part, I really, really enjoyed the boss fights. Also, a lot of diverse gameplay. It doesn't come up a lot in the super early game, but you start unlocking a lot of mini games. Like there's a card game that you could play. There's Beyblades. Like, let's see if I can find someone that plays Beyblades. Actually, I'm going to go to an early town. Let's do a round of Beyblades. Maybe not a whole round. You're right. That's probably a little... What is this town? That's the town we started. Let's go to Elstawise.
I'm a teleportation professional.
So, like, there's, like, Beyblades, and then there's, like, a tactical combat version, where as you recruit more characters, your armies get stronger, and you fight other armies. There's a, card game. There's probably a cooking minigame. I haven't unlocked it yet, but I understand Suikoden has, like, basically those kinds of minigames. There's, all kinds of stuff to do, and they're all, at this stage, a little shallow still, but they're fun, and they mix up the gameplay. So, let's take a look here. I probably can't beat this guy, but you can see here, as you go through, you fight monsters. You're going to find Beyblades. You could use them to fight others. I haven't really found anyone I could beat yet. These guys have been fucking strong as hell, but you know what I mean. So, overall, in the positives, it's fun. That's the most important thing when it comes to a game like this. I've having a really, really fun time playing the game. Great experience so far. Now, for the bad things, and again, I don't want this to take away from the fact that I've been enjoying the game thoroughly, very much. I mean, I've played 20-something hours in the last, like, 3 days, right? I mean, I've played a lot. It's hard for me to play a game that much, without forcing myself, and I haven't forced myself. I've just been playing it because I've wanted to. The early game has really bad quality of life. There's quality of life issues that there's like 2 types of quality of life issues. There's in-game mechanics, and then there's just like the structure of the game beyond that. So first, early game mechanics. You don't get the ability to teleport. I got the ability to teleport like 5 minutes before starting this video, and I decided this would be a good time to record the video because I didn't know if there'd be fast travel. I assumed that there would be, but I wanted to be able to go to my castle, and I didn't want to run all the way back there, so I figured I would wait till the game brought me back there. But so you don't have any fast travel in the early game, and that's rough because I've done a lot of backtracking, a lot of weird location backtracking, just kind of like I feel like the game expected me just to keep pushing forward with the story until I unlocked fast travel and then go back. But I didn't know for sure if we were going to unlock fast travel. And like I said, the game is really hard. So I'm looking for all the party members and bonuses and items that I can get. So I ended up spending like 7 hours just backtracking to shit I've been to through paths that I didn't want to go through because I just didn't know, basically. So... And the game was difficult enough where I really wanted every advantage I could get. So that kind of sucked. Also, like, when you lose access to the castle. Like, I couldn't go into the castle early on into a point where I was in the rune barrows, right? Not the rune barrows, the proving grounds. And so, like, I couldn't heal for free, for example. And so I kind of was just like, it was kind of like a really annoying thing that it's like a trap was sprung, and here I am, I'm story locked into this area, and I wasn't ready to be story locked into that area yet. Also, trying to manage a lot of characters is not very convenient. So if I want to change, let's say I open a chest and I get a new rune. I don't have one on me right here because I just put them all away, but I want to change my runes. All right, I could take a look, like, and I could even level up a character and be like, all right, oh, there's an empty slot here, right? This guy has an empty slot. I want to equip something. You can't equip stuff from here. You got to go to a rune person that could do runes. And sometimes, especially without fast travel, there's fucking nothing nearby, man. You're just going to be like, I got this brand new rune and I got this brand new rune slot. That's it. They're next to each other. Also, like, when you're trying to, so here's one thing that I dislike. When I'm trying to do equipment, let's say I have something called a growth badge. All right, let's say it's not on him. But point is, I put it on a character early in the game, and then I forgot who had it. And then this doesn't show you items that are equipped on characters not in your party. So if you're switching out and trying a lot of characters, suddenly a lot of your equipment seems like it's disappearing. You're like, I thought I had I don't know, I guess not. So this doesn't show characters, items that are in your warehouse. I think that's understandable, I suppose. I would like if it did, but whatever. But it doesn't show characters that are equipped with stuff that aren't in your active party. And even if they're like here, they're like, this isn't your active party, but they're going to show up in cutscenes and stuff, or they're even here in support, like, you're not going to see their items. And that's super annoying. And so I found myself frequently like having to go through, especially in the early game. Again, this kind of gets addressed later on. As you get your castle and more facilities, and you could now fast travel back to the castle. That's the big one. Now that you can get to the castle, it becomes much easier. But like, it was so annoying early on. Like, I would come into a place like an inn, and I would form party, right? I'd form the party, and I'm like, all right, so I need I think Mio had a weapon equipped, right? Let's take a look here. I've unequipped them all, but she would have like 2 things equipped that I wanted. So I'd have to go here, get Mio. I would have to come here. I'd have to go to equipment. I would have to unequip Mio, unequip. Like, all right, that's done. All right, let's switch her out. All right, who did I have in the party again? I can't remember, except it was, I actually don't remember. I totally fucking forgot right now. It's probably going to be my highest level character. Whatever. We'll just put him in the part. No. It's... I know who it is. You guys are just trying... It's Wiley. So, like, it was a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of that kind of annoying game stuff. Same with runes. If they have runes equipped, you can't even unequip their runes. Here, you have to go to a rune character to... You have to go to a place to put the character in your party. Then you have to go to a rune person to take the rune off the person. Then you have to go back here, put the character back out of your party to put someone else into your party that you wanted. And then you have to go back to the rune person to, like, you know, it's just like, oh, this is so fucking annoying. But it's not the worst thing, but it is annoying. I would like it to be a little more streamlined. Also, a big one for me and a quality of life thing, when you rest at an inn, it only heals your active party. So let's say you're... Again, healing is hard. I had a point where my characters were dying. I was like, all right, I'm going to switch out similar level characters. So I'm going to switch out this character or whatever, right? So then I went through and I was using Kogan for a while. And so then what I used Kogan, and then I was like, all right, I found some items. I sold them. I could go rest. So I went and rested, and then my main party healed up to full MP HP, but all my backline characters are still missing HP. She's still at 75 out of 113. 10 out of 116, or like sometimes they don't get their MP back, they don't get this back. So I had to, even if it's free, right? Even if you go to the place where it's free, I have to switch these characters out, put in other characters, and then rest the second time to heal them. That's like, why? Just have them all be healed every single time I rested it in, because I'm trying to use all these characters. I'm switching them out frequently. So just let me do this. This is like, to me, almost kind of egregious. This is like my least favorite thing, is that when you rest it in, it doesn't heal your reserves. Especially in a game with so many characters where you're getting new characters, you're switching characters in and out, you're experimenting with them. Oh, this character has a hero combo with this other character, I haven't used that much, let's move them in. Oh, but I haven't healed them. because they were in my, I had a character I hadn't used in like 7 hours. Like, I just haven't used them because I got a new character. I put them away. And then I was like, oh, they have a combo with this character I want to try. Like, I think it was like Gar or something. And then it's like, well, Gar was almost dead. So I had to go and go get Gar healed. It's like, it's not necessary, right? It's very annoying. And then structurally, beyond like game mechanics, one thing that I really dislike is the menus. The menus I hate. I don't like this system. The tab system works, I think, if you have like 3, maybe 4. But I nearly always want to go to the status screen. Almost every single time I go into the menu, it's to go into the status screen. Like maybe 6 out of 10 times, because I'm trying to, a character like, we unlocked a new rune, so I want to go see what their rune is. They're like, oh, hey, you just recruited this new character, and I put them in my party, and I want to look at their stuff, or I want to do things like that, right? So in order to do that, you've seen me do it multiple times. I have to go into the menu, I have to tab, tab. All right, and it's, if I want to do it the other way, it's still 1, 2, 3. It's like I can go the other way, 1, 2, 3 to get there. But like every time I want to do anything, I have to go through all these menus that I don't want to do. And a lot of times I'm like, I don't remember which one it is. How do I get to it? I just want to go to my, like, I open this, like, I just want to go to my party and move a character from the front to the back. Here it is. Okay, so I got to do this, right? So boom, boom, there we go. And then I'm like, yeah, oh, sorry, that was the wrong character. Let me do it again really quick. I have to look at all my characters' magic. I have to look at all my items. I have to look at all my equipment to get to the party screen. So I don't like this menu. I want the list, you know, like when you hit pause, like in Final Fantasy, whatever, like the screen changes. You have a list top to bottom. You select what you want from the list, and then it goes to that screen. This is a lot of like interesting, just like, I don't like this tab. I think there's too many tabs for it to be useful. And the tabs that I want to get to are kind of far away a lot of the time. So I would prefer a list. Also, you can't save on the, you can only save at save points or it ends. You can't save on the world map, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but there are times where I'll like end up just going into a random like forest because I remember there's a save point there because it's closer than, I'm on the world map and I'm like, well, the castle's pretty far away because I don't have fast travel. This next town ahead of me doesn't have a save point, so I'll leave a town, or like, I mean, the end has it, but let's say I'm like in between a town, but I want to save first. Like, all right, I'll go back to this dungeon so to get to that save point, and then I'll go, like, it's just kind of weird that you can't save on the overworld, in my opinion. I think that'd be kind of nice, especially because if you hit start, there's a load button here. Just have save above it, I guess, for when you're on the world map, right? Like, I feel like it's already there. So there was a lot of things that I was kind of like, I'm raining on, you know, and I'm like, oh, these are things that stood out and were kind of annoying to me. But I don't want, I'm trying to be critical, but also I don't want it to take away from the most important thing is that the game is incredibly fun. I know I talked about things that are annoying, because when you do something that annoys you and then you have to do it 20, 30 more times, or you're spending hours, like, because things are annoying you, it definitely, I notice it and I want you to be aware of it. But the moment-to-moment gameplay is incredibly fun. Recruiting new characters is incredibly fun. I like watching characters that actually interact with each other. I enjoy pretty much start to finish. I've been having a wonderful time. There's been a few annoying spots that I was like, feels like it wasn't super well thought out, in a sense where maybe they haven't had a player play on the hardest difficulty approach this in my kind of situation, or maybe they're aware of it and that's going to be part of the day one patch. I don't know. But the game is fun. I'm going to be playing the whole thing for sure. I have a bunch more videos coming out. This is my first of many videos. But I wanted to kind of give you like a thorough, what do I feel about the game, the mid, the good, and the bad. And the lists of the mid and the bad, I feel like, are longer than the list of the good. But the good are the most important things. If I was like, man, the art direction is absolutely out of this world. The snappiness of the menus and managing your characters is just boom, on point, very, very modern. The ability to whatever, X, Y, Z, change your equipment for runes wherever you want, save wherever you want. These are all 10 out of 10, but the gameplay fucking is boring and it sucks. Like, it wouldn't matter. The most important thing is that the game is fun to play and that the moment-to-moment combat and the progressions is fun. And that is all very exciting and fun. There's so many characters I want to level up, see what's unique about them, their unique talents. I can't wait. Every time I see a new character, I'm like, let's get that guy right now. Boom, I just got the librarian. I just got a teleporting chick. I just got a person that has the ability to, like, you know, the fishing guy. And I'm like, let's go back to my castle, see where their new building is, talk to them about it, see what they think about it, go talk to other people in the town. And this stuff is all 10 out of 10. And there's really cute cats. This is Artemis. Lots of animals in this game as well. Lots of really cute animals. Which is kind of weird because there's also best role units. And I'm like, if there's dogs and then there's half dog, half men, well, I don't want to think about it. We'll just leave it at that. But that is all for today, guys. Thank you very much. Kind of a long one, but I wanted to get something a little more comprehensive out there before my next videos, which are mostly going to be guides and tips videos from my perspective of my 20-something plus hour playthrough so far. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!